Police motor squad has just lined up on West Temple, preparing for the processional that will lead them up to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. They're getting ready to remove the barriers that have been up for several days, as we had conference followed by the memorial yesterday and now the funeral. They're getting ready to move those barriers off of the intersection here at West Temple and North Temple right now.
Don, do we have any sense of what's going to happen next?
At some point, we expect that the processional will come probably out of the underground parking exit on West Temple, proceed down West Temple. I'm not sure how far south they will go before they turn and head east as they head up towards the cemetery. Expected that President Nelson will be buried next to his late wife, Dansel, at some point today.
Describe for us the mood as people gathered for today's funeral.
It's very somber. There have been it's kind of hushed tones as people have prepared for the funeral, but there's also been a lot of smiles and a lot of people remembering fondly some of the things that President Nelson taught, some of the things he did. We talked to a couple of people who say they remember a time when President Nelson was an apostle, that Elder Joseph B. Worthland was speaking and started to shake, and Elder Nelson stood up and just kind of stabilized him and helped him finish so that he could finish out his talk. They said that was one of the most memorable things and taught them how loving President Nelson was.
All right. Thank you, Don. We'll check in with you again. That is KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff coming to us from outside the conference center. As thousands leave the conference center in Salt Lake City following President Russell M. Nelson's funeral, many are reflecting not just on his leadership, but on how his teaching shaped the way they live their lives. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live outside Temple Square. Eric?
Maria, people are slowly making their way through here, some emotional, some smiling, some taking one last look toward the conference center before heading home. It's been a morning and day of reverence and gratitude for the late prophet whose influence reached far beyond Utah. In fact, during the service, I heard from some who couldn't be here in person after putting out a call on social media. And one of those who reached out was J.J. Mendez, who says President Nelson's example changed the way he approaches people, especially in a divided world.
President Nelson was a spiritual giant and someone that really taught us to lead with kindness and to reach out to those that maybe we disagree and find like a good way to interact, even if we have different values or beliefs, that we can still find a way to coexist.
Eric, talk to me
JJ also told me those lessons have shaped how he handles tough conversations and reminded him that compassion can coexist with conviction. Live outside the conference center, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Eric, talk to us about some of the people that you met outside of the conference center earlier. How is the mood there now along the street?
You know what? There is a lot of joy. You know, I think a service like this really does touch people's hearts. You know, some of the people that I've seen or at least said hi to on their way out said they feel like their hearts are full, that their spirit, their cups have been filled again. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And it couldn't be a more beautiful day, Maria. The sky is completely blue. The sun is shining. There's a little bit of a chill, but it couldn't be a better scene. It couldn't be a better scene today.
Thank you, Eric. That is KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera live outside of Temple Square.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Here are some of what the people who came to the conference center today had to say about President Nelson.
I really, really love President Nelson. He made a big impact on my life growing up, so it just felt natural to come and respect him.
We're over from the London area, and so we've been here for conference weekend, and you know, it's just been a good opportunity for us to just say our final farewell to him.
My memory about him is going to the temple all the time. Make time for the Lord, make time for the temple, and have faith. And repentance is it's a process that it should be every day.
We love the temple announcements and his excitement about building temples and spreading them throughout the world, bringing them closer to the people.
That was something that really hit us hard, is how many temples he was able to announce, 200 of them, and bring them to people all over the world.
I'd have to go back nearly 40 years when I first met him as a missionary in Anaheim, California, when I served as a missionary. And so, yeah, he shared something very touching. He had just been to Ireland at the time and shared some personal stuff, what was going on, and that was a very touching moment for me.
I think President Nelson is also just a really remarkable person. Like, he's an example to me as like a nursing student of how to be a better worker in the healthcare field.
It's not even a talk he gave. It was when Joseph B. Wirthlin was giving a talk, and he was shaking as he was trying to finish his talk.
I just remember Nelson getting up and standing behind him. Looked like he checked his pulse real quick, kind of gave him some support, let him finish saying what he was saying. It was just really peaceful and calm, and he stepped in to help. Didn't matter who was watching, didn't worry about embarrassing anybody or himself.
I feel like that just showed so much about his character. He was an apostle at the time, but it just showed who he was and the love that he had for all the people around him.
And it is so heartwarming to hear all of those people around him who have come from near and from far Ireland, as well as younger people and older folks as well. If you are just joining us, we are bringing you special coverage remembering President Russell M. Nelson. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints leader was just memorialized in a funeral held at the Conference Center in Salt Lake City. President Nelson's daughter, Laurie M. Marsh, spoke about the joy that characterized the way her father lived.
When I think of our dad, I think of joy. Daddy always chose to be happy, and that made him so fun to be around. I often think of the talk he gave entitled Joy and Spiritual Survival when he said, "My dear brothers and sisters, the joy we feel has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives. When the focus of our lives is on God's plan of salvation and Jesus Christ and his gospel, we can feel joy regardless of what is happening or not happening in our lives. Joy comes from and because of him. He is the source of all joy. For Latter-day Saints, Jesus Christ is joy."
She also spoke about how much he loved his family.
There are many members in our family, but we had one goal: to be an eternal family. We were invited to come to family prayer, family scripture study, and family home evening. None of us were ever forced to participate. We just wanted to be there. We didn't always have perfect attendance, but each of us knew if we didn't go, we were missing out on a chance to be together. Mother and Daddy were a great team. We knew family was important to both of them. Growing up in our home meant that when Daddy was home, it was a joyful time, as he then gave his full attention to his family. We were secure in the knowledge that Mother and Daddy loved each other, they loved the Lord, and they loved each one of us.
We'll bring you more coverage remembering President Russell M. Nelson, but let's check in now with Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Right now, I am seeing traffic on some of the downtown streets getting a little bit clogged, especially on South Temple eastbound, anywhere from just before 200 West over to West Temple, Main Street, and State. Just remember, a lot of these streets at the intersections will have backups. If you are in the downtown area, don't be surprised if they do stop traffic in order to allow the funeral procession to go through. But right now, no other real problems that we're dealing with on any of our major roadways. October 11th, Salt Lake City AutoCon, a one-of-a-kind convention by and for autistic adults. Workshops, resources, and community. Get your tickets at autocon.org. Use promo code KSL free. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It was just a few weeks ago President Russell M. Nelson celebrated his 101st birthday. KSL's Carol Makita sat down with several of President Nelson's children just before he turned 100 a year ago.
I had the opportunity of visiting with some of President Nelson's children and grandchildren before his 100th birthday celebration.
If I have to think of something that's going to stay with me forever, it's that that family comes first.
As a woman, appreciate his perspective on females and women in the church. I just love the confidence that he has in us and that he helps us feel in ourselves.
He's so good at making each person feel seen and important. They get a birthday card, they get a Christmas card individually, and when they see him, he says, oh, there's Bryce, or there's Porter, and he makes each person just feel like they matter, and you can feel his love. And
always made it a priority to at least have one big family function where monthly we'd get together, celebrate the birthdays. We all know he's just so busy, but he always made time for family, and that hasn't changed.
He takes great care to call us together when he can. When we are with him, that daddy heart is still there.
My most precious lesson that I learned from my parents is to love the Lord, put him first, and watch miracles happen.
Today, President Nelson's family members are remembering his words. Families are eternal. Carol Makita, KSL 5 News.
The Tabernacle Choir held a special music and spoken word the day after President Nelson died as a tribute to him and his love of music.
Music and the spoken word announcer Derek Porter said President Nelson watched their broadcast every Sunday.
And once mentioned that he recalled the very first broadcast that aired in July of 1929. He was 5 years old at the time. In a way, he has been here with us throughout this broadcast's entire journey.
Porter spoke about how President Nelson taught us to treat each other with respect.
President Nelson followed the Savior's admonition to love one another. He implored us to be peacemakers.
Porter said President Nelson was a disciple and made it his mission to travel across the globe, healing hearts and preaching the word of Jesus Christ. Claire Scott, KSL News Radio.
We are watching as the flood of congregants come out of the conference center. Let's go back now to the conference center to KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff. And Don, where are you right now and what's happening?
You know, Maria, I'm still here at the corner of West Temple and North Temple, and thousands of people are coming out of the conference center following the funeral procession. The Salt Lake City Police Motor Squad is lined up ready to escort the processional up to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. There's a couple of officers getting ready to close off the intersection so that they can move through, that they'll move into place at some point and stop people from crossing the street here at the corner. The people that are coming out are in just kind of solemn. A lot of them are smiling, but not a lot of loud talking going on at this point, Maria.
All right, Don. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is a little farther up the road along North Temple, east of where Don is positioned. So, Eric, are people lined up there to see the procession?
Yeah, people are starting to gather out.
We are
of thousands of people kind of walking by, and there's
Eric, we're going to reestablish with you and come back to you in just a moment. And again, we are watching as people come out of the conference center, just a flood of people, thousands of people just standing outside of the conference center right now. We will continue to check in with Don Brinkerhoff and KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. We know that the procession will make its way to the Salt Lake City Cemetery, where a private service will also be held for the family. And again, we will continue to keep an eye on that. Let's see if we have reestablished now with Eric. Eric, are you back with us?
Yep, I'm right here. Yep.
Okay, Eric,
Sorry, guys.
Tell us about what you're seeing.
Yeah, so just like Don said, I'm seeing a stream of thousands of people in their Sunday best, kind of flowing through. Some are hanging around, trying to catch the procession. Others just making their way across the street through Temple Square. And once again, it's a mix of people in suits, dresses, smiles, and people look like they enjoyed the service.
Okay. Thank you again, Eric. We will continue to watch this procession as it does make its way up to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. President Nelson continued to speak at general conference sessions even as he surpassed 100 years old with a special message for younger people in particular. Here's one of his last conference talks.
I'm especially inspired by our youth. They are giving service in large numbers. They're seeking their ancestors and performing ordinances in the temple. Our young men and women are submitting applications for missionary service in record numbers. The rising generation is rising up as stalwart followers of Jesus Christ. Recently, I met a new great-granddaughter. When I contemplate the challenges she will experience in her life, I feel a great desire to help her build faith in Jesus Christ. Living his gospel is essential for her future happiness. She, like each of us, will face challenges. We all will experience illness, disappointment, temptation, and loss. These challenges can knock our self-confidence. However, disciples of Jesus Christ have access to a different kind of confidence. When we make and keep covenants with God, we can have confidence that is born of the Spirit. The Lord told the prophet Joseph Smith that our confidence can wax strong in the presence of God. Imagine the comfort of having confidence in the presence of God. When I speak of having confidence before God, I'm referring to having confidence in approaching God right now. I'm referring to praying with confidence that Heavenly Father hears us, that He understands our needs better than we do. I'm referring to having confidence that He loves us more than we can comprehend, that He sends angels to be with us and with those we love. I'm referring to having confidence that He yearns to help each of us reach our highest potential. Now, how do we gain such confidence? The Lord answers this question with these words, quote, "Let thy bowels be full of charity towards all men, and let virtue garnish thy thoughts unceasingly. Then shall thy confidence wax strong in the presence of God." End quote. There's the key in the Lord's own words. Charity and virtue open the way to having confidence before God. Brothers and sisters, we can do this. Our confidence can truly wax strong in the presence of God right now. Let's consider both charity and virtue. First, charity. 2 years ago, I called upon us as covenant followers of Jesus Christ to be peacemakers. I repeat what I said then. Anger never persuades. Hostility builds no one. Contention never leads to inspired solutions. True charity towards all men is the hallmark of peacemakers. It is imperative that we have charity in our discourse, both public and private. I thank those of you who took my previous counsel to heart, but we can still do better. The present hostility in public dialogue and on social media is alarming. Hateful words are deadly weapons. Contention prevents the Holy Ghost from being our constant companion. As followers of Jesus Christ, we should lead the way as peacemakers. As charity becomes part of our nature, we will lose the impulse to demean others. We will stop judging others. We'll have charity for those from all walks of life. Charity towards all men is essential to our progress. Charity is the foundation of a godly character. Let us plead with our Heavenly Father to fill our hearts with greater charity, especially for those who are difficult to love. For charity is a gift from our Heavenly Father for true followers of Jesus Christ. The Savior is the Prince of Peace. We are to be his instruments for peace. Now, let us speak of virtue. The Lord tells us to garnish our thoughts unceasingly with virtue. Imagine the boost you will receive to any positive thought when you enhance it with virtue. Virtue makes everything better and happier. On the other hand, imagine what will happen when you add virtue to an impure thought, a cruel thought, or a depressing thought. Virtue will drive away those thoughts. Virtue will free you from anxious, troublesome thoughts. Brothers and sisters, as the world grows more wicked, we need to grow increasingly pure. Our thoughts, words, and actions need to be unfailingly virtuous and filled with the pure love of Jesus Christ towards all men.
Again, that was President Nelson at one of his last conference talks. Let's go back out to the conference center where the crowd is making its way out. That's where we find KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff. Don?
Good afternoon, Maria. Again, now still people streaming out of the conference center, but now thousands lining West Temple as they prepare for the processional that will take President Nelson's body up to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. They've blocked off the intersection so that the hearse can come out and drive down without being impeded. And the crowd is probably 20 rows deep along the side of the road as people prepare to pay their last respects to President Nelson.
All right.
Maria?
Go ahead. Thank you, Don, so much for your report. We will continue to follow that procession as the president does make his way up to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. Joining me now is KSL TV religion specialist Carol Makita. You have been listening very closely to the funeral services. And tell us about the speakers today.
I had some takeaways from each one of them, I think. The lovely talks from his daughter, Lori Marsh, and his son, Russell M. Nelson Jr. Lori talked about this wonderful idea in their home, and there were 10 children, and of course they were constantly gathering to study the scriptures or sing songs at home. doing something pertaining to their faith. But she said something that I think was lovely, that their mother and father never forced them to do this. They just came willingly because they wanted to be part of this family group. I think that's a
How
lesson
lovely.
for all of us,
Yes,
right?
it is.
His son, Russell Nelson Jr., had this very, very touching tribute to his father. He is the only son of those 10 children and was given his father's name. And he said he and his father made a promise that they would carry that name with integrity and faith. And he said, so maybe that's an idea, that we all take pride in our names as we follow the Savior Jesus Christ. That was really a beautiful takeaway from that. President Camille Johnson, she's the Relief Society General President, talked about, stating simply, he changed the world. She said, because he focused on one person and gave one direction at a time, and yet that had a ripple effect. And specifically, he spoke to the women of the church, that if, in fact, they were participating in their temple covenants, they had the exercise of priesthood power and authority, and had to remember that in their homes, in their callings. He valued women's opinions and women's voices, and had a beautiful talk before he became president, and followed through that. Elder Holland, they were longtime friends, and I loved this phrase that he said: he is the holder of hands and the healer of hearts.
Oh.
And of course, that's a reference to this beautiful surgeon who also then turned to become someone who healed hearts that were troubled or hearts that were broken through his faith. Elder Eyring talked about his gifts and was, he said, a personal witness to the inspiration that he had. But in meetings with the men and women of the church and different councils, he always wanted to hear everyone's opinion. Even if it was a newly called member to that particular organization, it didn't matter to President Nelson. He wanted to hear that person's opinion when they were gathering. And President Oaks said something that I think made everyone laugh. He said, we spent 34 years in the Quorum of the 12, and President Nelson didn't speak up as often as some of us who were attorneys in our previous lives, speaking of himself.
Right.
But when he became president, he was a very quick decision maker. And he said, I had to fasten my seatbelt, and thought, wow, this is going to be fun. But he also talked about in the 7.5 years of his presidency, he marveled at the impact that President Nelson had with national leaders and faith leaders and ambassadors, that he actually saw that their hearts were melted toward him with every meeting. And he said he and President Eyring just watched in amazement that interaction with people who had not ever come to meet a president of the church before from another country or another situation. So
we have spoken to so many people getting their reactions and thoughts on the president's passing, and it seems really interesting to me how each of them talk about how he spoke to them individually in such a divided time and had just the right words to bring people together.
He was remarkable that way, in that, and I was fortunate enough to have interviewed him several times, in a crowded room, even a crowded room filled with journalists and photographers and people setting up lights and that sort of thing. When his focus was on you, it was as if you were the only person in the world, and he was listening, or he was interacting with you. And I think when he spoke, he had that ability. When people connected with him in general conference, it felt that same way. Oh, that's a message for me. And that will be a lasting impression.
Yeah. Also very impressive is the reaction from younger people. We are talking about junior high kids, right? Who they seem to be a little more self-absorbed, but not in this instance.
They connected on a level with him, and he knew exactly what to say to them. This idea of being a peacemaker, I think they recognize in their schools that not everything is peaceful, not everyone is at one with another, and there are difficult times and situations, but that's something they can do something about. Oh, that's what he's talking about. I can be a peacemaker in my classroom, with my friends, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, wherever. And I think that resonated with them, and when he said that, that made them relate to this man who's certainly old enough to be a grandfather or great-grandfather.
What resonates the most with you?
Oh,
You've been doing this a long time.
I have been doing this a long time.
Covering church officials for a long time. What stands out the most in your mind?
This is a most remarkable man, Maria, who loved his career as a heart surgeon. And to the point where when he started his career, surgeons didn't touch hearts. It was not something that was done. He went above and beyond in that realm to save people's lives and to find out the research that could help that area. And so this was a man who was passionate about what he did. And yet when that call came, he left it. He left that office immediately and answered the call to serve the Lord. And I think that's remarkable. Who has risen to that level of professional success and recognition in the world? How do you do that? And he did it flawlessly, and then turned his attention to testifying of Jesus Christ and trying, as he said in the very beginning, we're just going to make people's lives better.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. That is KSL TV religion specialist Carol Makita. We understand that the procession has now just passed Don Brinkerhoff at the conference center. And Don, tell us what you're seeing at this moment.
Okay, Maria, so the crowd is beginning to disperse. The processional went by about 2 or 3 minutes ago. Not sure where it went after North Temple and West Temple. It proceeded south on West Temple for at least a block or so, and then has turned up towards the cemetery, heading east up towards the cemetery. The hearse was followed by several vehicles, probably with his children, and then 3 busloads of people went by. As the processional went by, the crowd began singing, "We thank thee, O God, for a prophet," and sung that until the last of the buses drove by. Many people with their phones up, taking video, and others waving and trying to pay their last respects to the family, but also to President Nelson.
Don, you've been talking to followers for the entire weekend, including today. And what is the comment or comments that have really stood out to you and have really resonated with you?
You know, Maria, the thing that has impressed me most, and I think most of us knew this, but it's how loving President Nelson was. So many people have talked about different things that he did, little things that he did to show how much he loved people, to show how much he cared. Things like just a smile as he would greet them and shaking hands, as Elder Holland talked about.
All right. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff. You've been listening to special coverage remembering President Russell M. Nelson on Midday. Coming up, we'll catch you up on the rest of the news of the day. It's 2 o'clock.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Day 6 of the government shutdown. The time is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, October 7th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the latest in the wrangling to get the government back to work. Also this hour, remembering President Russell M. Nelson, honoring the leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But first, our top stories. President Russell M. Nelson, the late prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, was honored today with a public funeral. President Dallin H. Oaks of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles read this quote to sum up his legacy.
He will be remembered not only as a prophet, but as a bridge builder, a healer, and a man whose life bore witness to the power of faith in action.
Family and friends in church leadership also spoke during his funeral and characterized him as someone who served with joy and faithfulness. Other local stories we are following this hour. A member of the Diesel Brothers TV show has been arrested here in Utah.
It's time to sink or swim.
Let's do this thing.
David Sparks, who's best known for his role in the Diesel Brothers show on the Discovery Channel and the Heavy D Sparks YouTube channel, has been arrested by U.S. Marshals. This comes after a federal judge found him in contempt of several court orders in connection to a lawsuit which claims he violated the Clean Air Act. A judge ruled against him in that lawsuit and ordered him to pay more than $840,000, but new court documents obtained by KSL claim Sparks hasn't paid any of that after nearly 4 years since he was ordered to. A judge then issued a warrant for his arrest, and we've confirmed he was booked into the Salt Lake County Jail this morning. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News, more problems for air traffic control due to staffing shortages due to the ongoing government shutdown. Controllers who are having to work without knowing when a full paycheck is coming again are calling in sick.
One day after the air traffic control tower at the Burbank airport had to shut down for lack of staffing, leading to controllers 150 miles away in San Diego handling takeoff and landing clearances. Now the FAA is reporting amid the government shutdown that the towers in Chicago and Nashville, along with centers in Las Vegas, Houston, Newark, and Boston that handle those regions, are having staffing problems today and are now short of controllers.
ABC's Alex Stone reporting. Other national stories KSL is following. Today marks 2 years since the October 7th attacks in Israel. Nearly 1,200 people died when Hamas militants attacked civilians in southern Israel, and hundreds of people were taken hostage. ABC's Ian Pannell in Israel says there is movement in the ceasefire negotiations in Egypt, but there are also many disagreements.
Phase 1 is supposed to envisage a ceasefire, the release of all 48 hostages, that's all remaining hostages, alive and dead, 20 or so are believed to still be alive, as well as a partial withdrawal. It's phase 2, where you get onto the issue of Hamas disarming, that things are going to get difficult.
The Hamas-run health ministry says more than 67,000 people have died in Gaza since the war began. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day down by 92 points, sitting at 46,602. S&P down by 25 points, and the NASDAQ down by 153 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Maria, we do have a lot of traffic backed up, especially around the intersections downtown. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic, and it's anywhere from 3rd West over to State Street, 200 North, North Temple, and South Temple as the funeral procession continues with everyone out on the streets hoping to get a glimpse and pay their last respects. Now, Valley Freeway traffic is actually looking really good at this time. No problems there. We've had an accident northbound Washington Boulevard in Weber County. This is north of 12th Street. We'll call it about 9th Street in Ogden, and it had been blocking a right lane. From system install to fast fixes to delivering award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical, call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A lot of sunshine today and tomorrow. Today's high 67, 75 tomorrow, up to 81 by Thursday, but that chance of showers creeping back in. By Friday, 50% chance and 60% chance for Saturday. Right now, 60 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Jump on your brooms and fly to Logan for fantastic fall festivities. It's finally cooling off and we're so glad. Grab your flannel and celebrate harvest season in style, especially October 10th and 11th. Step back in time at the American West Heritage Center for their annual Fall Harvest Festival. See grain threshing with antique machinery, take a pony ride or train ride, and see cider pressing and corn shelling. Or check out the Rock and Gem Show with minerals and rocks and fossils. Oh my! Catch a live performance of the hilarious Broadway hit The Addams Family. Watch it inside the 1923 Ellen Eccles Theater, which really is haunted. Dive into a month full of hocus pocus and hair-raising hauntings on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour or at the Haunted River Trail. Traipse through 2 giant corn mazes, visit the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, or check out live theater and music performances and USU football games. Fall in love with fall in Logan. ExploreLogan.com/fall. ExploreLogan.com/fall.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions. Like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures. Until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. It's day 7 of the government shutdown with no end in sight. We are not seeing any movement in Congress to resolve the impasse. There are no high-level negotiations taking place between Republican and Democratic leaders, which historically take place when the government has been shut down for this long. ABC's Jay O'Brien tells Start Here host Brad Milkey that there's also no vibe of change on the Senate floor.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin.
There was a vote yesterday on the Senate floor. There have now been 5 votes on the same piece of temporary government funding legislation that's already passed out of the House. And while there have been some Democrats who have broken with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and the bulk of Senate Democrats and voted with Republicans on that government funding legislation, it's never really been the number that Republicans need. They need to convince 8 Democrats. Consistently, they were getting 3.
On this vote, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 42.
So the vote goes down yesterday as well. The government shutdown continues. Democrats say they're digging in here because they want an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of this year. And some of them want a rollback of the cuts to Medicaid that were in the president's signature One Big Beautiful Bill Act, as it's officially known, that was passed some months back.
We want to reverse the devastating cuts to American health care that Republicans passed in their big, ugly bill.
And Republicans have been saying over and over and over again, they're not going to negotiate with Democrats while the government is actively shut down.
The only reason the government is shut down is because Democrats refuse to accept a clean, nonpartisan funding extension.
But then, yesterday, President Trump wades into the fray here. And he says something that congressional Republicans have really not been saying.
Some very good things could happen with respect to health care.
Would you make a deal with them on the ACA subsidies?
If we made the right deal, I'd make a deal.
He says he's willing, essentially, to cut a deal with Democrats on health care.
While the president's words are giving Democrats a small glimmer of hope, the president isn't saying when he would be open to a deal and whether the shutdown would need to end first. And Jay says there are some big worries if the shutdown continues for too long.
The longer it goes, the worse it gets. So if a shutdown lasts for a week and you're a federal employee living paycheck to paycheck, in large part, you're not going to get paid for those days that you were furloughed if you're a furloughed government employee. That's bad. But as the shutdown drags into 2 weeks, then federal employees start missing paychecks. As it drags longer, some of those essential federal employees, like TSA agents, start to call out sick, and that's where you get lines at airports.
These air traffic controllers, they're critical infrastructure. They're critical to the operation of the federal government. So they're required to show up for work.
The Secretary of Transportation has already warned that that is starting to happen as of yesterday.
What they think about as they're controlling our airspace is, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How do I make my car payment?
The longer you go, that's when federal funding for food assistance programs for new mothers and newborns and underprivileged Americans start to really get into jeopardy. And on and on and on. And by the way, Brad, we also have this new threat from the Trump administration that the longer this shutdown drags out, they're going to start to enact these mass federal firings.
This administration wants to reopen the government. We don't want to see people laid off. But unfortunately, if this shutdown continues, layoffs are going to be an unfortunate consequence of that.
They haven't started that yet, but that could be in the works. So all of that to say, the longer this drags out, the worse it gets.
On Capitol Hill this morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson releasing numbers on how the shutdown will affect Americans.
So this results in crippling economic losses right now. Each week the shutdown continues, it will wipe out an estimated $15 billion in our gross domestic product in our country. A month-long shutdown would mean not just 750,000 federal civilian employees furloughed right now, but an additional 43,000 more unemployed Americans across the economy, because that is the effect, the ripple effect that it has in the private sector. You could go state by state, and we could have charts and graphs this morning and show you what it's going to mean to every state. But what the shutdown means in the state of New York, for example, that's Chuck Schumer's state. The impact there is a decline of $1.2 billion per month in GDP.
The Trump administration today warning there's no guaranteed back pay for federal workers during a shutdown. That would be a reversal of what has been longstanding policy for some 750,000 furloughed employees. Democratic Senator Patty Murray calling it a scare tactic since the law is clear that the workers will be paid. Meantime, the legal back and forth continues between cities and the Trump administration over the deployment of National Guard troops. Chicago is the latest city to confront the deployment, with the city and state of Illinois filing a lawsuit to stop it. ABC's Peter Haralambous joins host Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast to describe how Illinois' governor is pushing back.
Donald Trump is using our service members as political props and as pawns in his illegal effort to militarize our nation's cities.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has been forceful in saying that the National Guard has no place in Chicago, and saying that he's going to support this lawsuit if the Trump administration actually does try to carry this out.
The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noam's thugs the hell out of Chicago.
A federal judge very quickly held a hearing, but she declined to immediately issue a TRO, saying she needs more time to read the papers in the case. Late on Monday, the Trump administration moved a plane full of troops from the Texas National Guard to Illinois, and they're beginning the operation of potentially deploying into the city.
While the judge this week suggested the Trump administration pump the brakes on the deployment, she didn't order the deployment to stop. That makes it tough for local officials to push back.
In this case, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, is trying to implement these kind of ice-free zones. He's basically saying that Chicago employees and Chicago property can't be used to help out federal law enforcement. We'll see how that works in practice.
It's going to take everything: litigation, executive orders, legislation, and I believe most importantly, the people of this city and county and the state and throughout the country pushing back against tyranny.
The Trump administration, of course, says that this is a dangerous policy and it will endanger federal law enforcement, but it's a bit of a tightrope in terms of what a city can actually do to impede federal law enforcement and the National Guard, and what the Trump administration will theoretically do in response. On Monday afternoon, President Trump was asked about this, and he suggested that he might even invoke the Insurrection Act if cities across the country continue to push back against his work.
Ultimately, it will probably be up to the Supreme Court to determine under which circumstances a president has the power to deploy troops on U.S. soil. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622. 9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Families and first-time homebuyers are having a hard time finding a place to live, with the median home in Utah costing $600,000 or more in several locations. That has some people now looking into other ways to buy a home. KSL TV's Daniel Woodruff spoke to families building at a new community in the far western part of West Jordan called Terrain.
It's nestled in the foothills of the Ochre Mountains.
It's a place that finally brought an end to a year-long house hunt for Scott Thomas and his family.
The kids are excited. We're excited. It'll be nice to have stability for the family and have everyone together again.
They moved away from Utah in 2021, selling their house at a time of bidding wars and multiple offers. When they came back,
everything changed.
Mortgage rates were high, and so were prices.
It was a challenge finding something that was affordable, for the family. The kitchen.
But they found a solution.
Got the gas.
And it's one that brings his mother-in-law, Linda, into the picture.
I'll be down in the basement.
They're building a home that will have them join the statistic of multi-generational households, defined as having 3 generations all living under one roof.
All of the Christmas goodies.
In this case, it's Scott and his wife, their kids, and Grandma Linda.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good thing. I just look at it as it's an adventure.
Over the years, Utah has been adding multi-generational households. And nationwide, last year of the homes sold, 17% were bought by that demographic.
It's not a major market, I'd say, but it's definitely growing. And
Dayon Eskich studies the housing market at the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute.
With housing being still unaffordable, having your parents or grandparents co-sign on the loan explodes your income, thus you can afford more homes.
Eskich says this arrangement can benefit first-time homebuyers or seniors looking to downsize, and it's growing in popularity across the country. A Pew Research study found the number of people living in multi-generational homes since 1971 has quadrupled to over 59 million. Back in Terrain, both the developer
People want to be with their family.
And the sales agent for Rainey Homes say they're seeing more multi-generational families looking to buy.
In 2020 and 2021, that was not a thing at all. Everyone could afford anything, it seemed like. But now it's just impossible for, especially first-time home buyers, to get something.
Is the price of beef going to come down? We're going to have more on that in just a moment. But first, it's KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Maria, we do have a good drive on the Valley freeways, but again, downtown streets, I'm seeing a lot of heavier than normal pedestrian and vehicular traffic in the downtown area following the funeral of President Russell M. Nelson. Delays are possible, especially at intersections between 200 North and 200 South from 3rd West over to State Street. Titanic, the exhibition, opens October 17th at the Shops at Southtown. Step aboard to experience full-scale recreations, see artifacts, and hear real passenger stories. Don't miss it. Book passage today at titanicexhibition.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I had a chance last week to stop into Peach Doors and Windows, and let me tell you, you don't want to wait to make your someday project a project. To make it a project today, this is a fantastic showroom. Peach is a local trusted company. They specialize in windows and doors for luxury homes, remodels, new builds, and Peach is different. They aren't just selling you windows. They are transforming your home to feel brighter, quieter, safer, and more energy efficient. Let Peach help you update your home so it feels like $1 million home. You will love their personal customer service. They don't use high-pressure sales tactics or gimmicks to get your business. Just transparent pricing and real solutions. And they have over 400 Google 5-star reviews to prove it. See it for yourself. See what I'm talking about. Go into their showroom, or you can visit them at peachwindowsanddoors.com, or you can call them to schedule a consultation at 801-566-1255. Again, that is Peach Doors and Windows.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Man, I want to tell people how they can look and feel 10 years younger because it's something you and I already know.
We lost weight with the Soda weight loss program. I lost 34 pounds, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I do feel younger. I have more energy, all because I worked through this wonderful program, Soda Weight Loss.
And I let go of 70 pounds of fat weight over 5 months. And I actually did get comments, you look incredibly younger. It really felt good.
And I love the example I set for my kids to show them, look, we can celebrate things without having to eat stuff that's bad for our bodies.
And what helps is the accountability. And right now, this is the best way to do it. Soda's bringing back their most popular offer of the season. Join now, and your partner joins for free in the Partner Program.
So you and your spouse, or you and your best friend, get going with Soda Weight Loss.
They're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and client results. You can find out by going to their website, sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
These Cougars are rolling.
Parker Kingston has the first down and more.
Rocking and rolling.
He's going to go 20, 10, touchdown!
The nationally ranked BYU Cougars put their undefeated record on the line Saturday against Arizona.
It's a 2-touchdown quarter.
Listen to Cougar Tracks all this week from 6:30 to 7. And catch every play on Saturday on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars.
It's game time, yeah, we on the way.
KSL News Radio.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Beef prices are way up this year, with analysts blaming a combination of lower supply, higher demand, drought, cattle illnesses, and tariffs. We know the nation's cattle head count is lower than it's been since the 1950s. So what is happening in Utah? I spoke with Utah State University beef cattle extension specialist, Dr. David Sechrist, to find out what it looks like for Utah ranchers.
Utah has really mirrored what's going on in the rest of the country. I'm sure that the cattle numbers in Utah are down, just like they are all across the United States. And it's just a general phenomenon that has really been going on since the 1970s as our cow herd across the country has reduced over time.
Describe for us what the driving factors are behind this reduced cattle head count.
It's really just a matter of increased productivity that we've seen. We're actually produce just about the same amount of meat from nearly half the number of cows that we did in 1973. And that is a matter of increased productivity, better management, better genetics, and I would say utilizing technology to be able to produce more with less. And really all businesses have done that, but the U.S. agriculture and the beef industry specifically has really been a driver in being able to produce more with less. And that's been a big piece of it.
Are you also seeing ranchers who maybe are giving up on this because of the latest trends?
Right now, the ranching side of our business is quite profitable. but it is cyclical, and it does go up and down. So the return on investment from year to year is not always as consistent as I think some would like it to be. It tends to run in kind of 10, 12-year cycles. And so as you look particularly in the West, and I'd say especially in Utah, there's a big demand on land and for recreation, for urban growth. And so as this land becomes more and more valuable, the land seeks the highest and most valuable use, which oftentimes is not cattle production. And so as these ranches turn over from one generation to another, there is a big draw for that next generation to go ahead and just cash out. And that's to some degree what has happened as well.
So we're looking at beef prices that are way up this year, and analysts, of course, blaming a combination of factors. What do you see as far as beef prices, and is there a possibility they'll start to come down anytime soon?
They are very high, and there's no question about it. And really, since if we go back to the COVID area when things really spiked, they haven't come down for consumers. And if we look back to that time frame, it was really just a matter of COVID throwing kind of a wrench in the whole production system, and things really backed up. It wasn't so much a supply issue, but that whole backing up of the system created a lot of lack of profitability for the cattle producer side of our business. And so numbers started to dwindle at that time to where we are today. The cattle numbers were really, really tight across the U.S., and demand is high. And so really, to get to your question, I don't see beef getting a lot cheaper in the next couple of years. It's the cattle supply is not rebuilt very rapidly just due to the nature, the biological cycle of the animals. It just takes time to be able to increase the number of cows and increase the amount of beef that's available to our consumer. So unfortunately for our consumers, I don't see a quick change to that trend.
So are there any efforts underway to help meet that demand for beef?
There's not a lot of government intervention in the beef industry. And so it'll really just be a supply-demand driven approach. And as the profitability right now, as I mentioned, is very high with the cattle producer side, that will entice more people to get into the business to retain the number of heifers it takes to build up their cow herds, and I think that will stabilize and then actually start to increase the number of cows that we have. But beyond that, I don't see a big change. I don't see a big change in that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that's really important for people to know about the cattle industry?
It certainly is real important to the Utah's economy and to the national economy as a whole. And it is a healthy business. Despite talking about the declining numbers, beef is still valued very much on the consumer side, and beef producers are continuing to want to produce a product. It's just, we go through these normal cycles that are ups and downs, and that's really what we're experiencing now. Is we're experiencing, as you mentioned, a low in cow numbers since back to the 1950s, well before I was born.
Dr. David Sechrist is a beef cattle extension specialist with Utah State University. This hour, we've been bringing you coverage from the funeral of President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. President Nelson's son spoke about sharing his dad's name.
My father and I promised each other we would do our best to honor the name given to us. This has helped me with many decisions and situations in my life. I extend that thought to each of us as members of the Lord's Restored Church. Each of us have taken upon ourselves the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. We try to emulate him and be more like him and do our best to honor his name. May we continue to follow our prophets, make and keep sacred covenants, and be peacemakers in our life is my prayer and testimony.
President Nelson was 101 years old. It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The second anniversary of the attacks that sparked a war in the Holy Land. The hunt for someone who set up a trap for bikers on a popular trail. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Still dealing with some leftover delays on your downtown Salt Lake City streets. I'm Maria.
Thank you, Ricky. Again, wet weather for the weekend. We'll check that in just a minute. But first,
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Senate lawmakers expected to vote this afternoon on another round of stopgap measures, but both parties remain at odds over health care cuts in the GOP mega bill on Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. President Trump today signaling that not all furloughed workers may be repaid. Here's ABC's Karen Travers.
He was asked a question about this, and he said it depends on who we're talking about. He said we're going to take care of our people, and some people really don't deserve to be taken care of, suggesting that some of the hundreds of thousands of furloughed workers right now, people who are off the job during the government shutdown and are not getting paid, would not get back pay, as they have had done to them in every single shutdown before.
Today marks 2 years that the Hamas October 7th attacks occurred in Israel. Nearly 1,200 people died, hundreds of others taken hostage. Israel's war in Gaza after the attack has led to more than 67,000 deaths. On Wall Street, stocks were down. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Authorities have detained a suspect in Washington state in connection to the threat at Ben Lomond High School last week. Ogden City says the person is a juvenile male, and no other details were released. They say this continues to be an active investigation, but there is no ongoing threat to the school or the community. Latter-day Saints are remembering church president Russell M. Nelson today. His daughter spoke about his love of family at his funeral.
Growing up in our home meant that when Daddy was home, it was a joyful time, as he then gave his full attention to his family. We were secure in the knowledge that Mother and Daddy loved each other, they loved the Lord, and they loved each one of us.
President Alan H. Oaks of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles said President Nelson was a man who truly put his faith into action. Recent pedestrian deaths at an intersection in Murray is raising questions if more safety measures should be put in place. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
The latest death involved a woman who was hit by two vehicles when trying to cross 4500 South State Street, but not in a crosswalk. The Murray City Journal reports this is the second most dangerous intersection in both Utah and Salt Lake counties. UDOT spokesman John Gleason says, unfortunately, most of these type of accidents happen when people are not where they're supposed to be.
Gleason also says they are always looking for ways to improve safety. A man accused of digging a large cave near a Salt Lake County freeway overpass is now facing charges for the damage he left behind. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
If you didn't get a chance to see the size of this cave, go search for it on our KSL News Radio socials or our website. It's impressive. But the cave and tunnel were dug right next to a pillar that supports the freeway in Murray. A bridge inspector said it needed to be filled with concrete for safety reasons. The cost for the materials, an estimated $10,000. Troy Jones, he was booked into jail for digging the hole and now faces criminal mischief impairing critical infrastructure. That's a second-degree felony. When police asked him why he dug the cave, he said he needed a place to stay. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Utah Transit Authority confirms there was a crash involving a Trax train and a vehicle in South Jordan this morning. No one on the train was injured, but the driver of the vehicle had minor injuries and was transported to the hospital as a precaution. The cause is under investigation. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 91 points at the close, sitting at 46,602. S&P 500 down by 25 and the NASDAQ down 153 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Still seeing a lot of delays, especially around the intersections in the downtown area. And it could be anywhere between 4th West over to State Street, especially between 200 North and about 4th South. A lot of these delays are left over from the funeral that concluded about an hour ago. If you're on the Valley freeways, you're good to go. But we are starting to see some slowing southbound I-15 from Murray to 90th South. The Good Feet stores, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Enjoy the sunshine over the next couple of days. Storms moving back in by the weekend. 50% chance of showers by Friday. On Saturday, a 60% 50% chance. Right now, 60 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Attention Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at utahjazz.com.
Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Shop with any Mountain America credit or debit card for a chance to win a $5,000 vacation voucher. Simply tap, insert, swipe, or click to be entered to win now until October 31st. Use any card, win any trip from Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/anycard for official rules or to apply. Loans on approved credit. Membership required based on eligibility. Insured by NCUA. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Today marks both an important day on the Jewish calendar and a somber anniversary. 2 years ago, Hamas attacked Israeli targets, marking the first large-scale invasion of Israel since 1948. Since then, Israel and Hamas have been at war. Joining me live on the KSL Newsline is Rabbi Samuel Spector of Congregation Kol Ami in Salt Lake City. Rabbi, thank you for being with me. And first of all, tell us about today's significance on the Jewish calendar.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Maria. So today is the first day of Sukkot, which is one of our more important holidays. In the Bible, it's called the Feast of Booths. That's how some people might know it. But it used to really be the most important Jewish holiday a couple thousand years ago when Jewish people were primarily farmers in the land of Israel. This was a time to go to the temple in Jerusalem and make sacrifices, and most importantly, pray for rain so that we could have crops and be able to continue to survive.
Did today's anniversary of that attack change anything for the observance of the holiday?
I think it did a bit. So one of the things that we are commanded to do on Sukkot is to be happy. That is an actual commandment for the holiday, is you are commanded to be joyful on this holiday. And we sing songs of joy as we begin this holiday. And yet that it's hard to be happy, not only with a war that continues to go on, not only remembering the pain, the horrible pain on that horrible day a couple of years ago that also happened on a very joyful holiday. It was supposed to be a joyful holiday, but knowing that 2 years later, there are still 48 people whose families are waiting for them to come home, 20 of whom we believe to be alive and are suffering in Gaza right now in the tunnels and who are being mistreated. So our joy is a bit dampened by that reality.
Rabbi, what do you tell those folks who have become numb to what's been happening? I mean, it has been 2 years.
All right. Well, we can't become numb. I know that's easy, but as Jews, we have to always be hopeful. And this holiday is a lot about hope. And that's something I was telling my congregation today is just as our ancestors prayed for rain and hoped that they would have a good season ahead, we need to be hopeful too. And it sounds like right now there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. President Trump said and Prime Minister Netanyahu said they are hopeful that in the next week or so these hostages might be coming home. And I'm hopeful for both the Israelis and the Palestinians alike that perhaps in the coming weeks we can find some quiet and that there can be a brighter, more peaceful future.
Any final thoughts for us, Rabbi?
Well, just that we continue to pray and we continue to think about these folks. And again, we just can't become numb, especially when there's these 48 hostages who are waiting to come back. And because, 20 of those folks we believe to be still alive, and they're counting on the world not to forget them. And so we all have to continue to hold them in our hearts and hold a hope for a better tomorrow for everybody in the region.
I appreciate you joining me on this significant day. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Joining me live on the KSL Newsline is Rabbi Samuel Spector of Congregation Kol Ami here in Salt Lake City. The Utah County Sheriff's Office is trying to figure out who strung up a wire between two trees on a popular trail near Tibble Fork Reservoir this past weekend. A dirt bike rider hit the wire on the Hidden Forest Trail and had cuts to his face. Sergeant Ray Ormond says the biker could have been killed. He just happened to have been looking down, so the wire mostly hit his helmet rather than his neck.
Obviously, a metal wire it's a very dangerous thing to have strung across the trail, especially at the heights where this was. If a dirt bike rider was going at a higher rate of speed and to have that hit them without a helmet on, or if they were to have that hit them in the neck area, it could cause serious bodily injury and or potentially even be fatal. So it's an extremely hazardous and very dangerous thing to have strung across the trail.
KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis asked Sergeant Ormond why anyone would do such a thing.
That right there is $1 million question of what the motive was of the person or persons that strung the wire across the trail. It was definitely reckless and very dangerous. That would be something that I would love to have a sit-down conversation with the person who did it and ask them why. Because, again, that is something that, in this case, it did injure the individual who hit the wire, and it is something that could be, potentially fatal or, just a very dangerous situation that they intentionally caused.
And he's hoping someone out there knows who did this.
We haven't had any witnesses that have come forward saying that they saw anybody who had stretched the wire across the trail. So, one of the things we are asking, if anybody did happen to see anything that was suspicious, especially in the Tibble Fork area on that particular trail, which again is the Hidden Forest Trail, if they could give us a call and let us know, they can call into our non-emergency line to that 801-798-5600 and just ask for a deputy and let them know that they've got some information concerning this case. That would be extremely helpful.
Sergeant Ray Ormond is with the Utah County Sheriff's Office. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
Utah Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands has been given the green light to raise a berm that separates the north and south arms of the Great Salt Lake. It's meant to help balance the levels of water and salt. Senate sponsor Scott Sandahl explained to his colleagues how it works.
Colleagues, you have recognized over the past decade that with the drought, we have increased our emphasis on the importance of the Great Salt Lake It has been of great import to the legislature, to the public at large, and quite honestly to a lot of people across the country. We have a unique opportunity based on the fact that the railroad split the lake into two halves a number of years ago with the railroad causeway. There is an adaptive berm that was allowed to be placed underneath that, joining the north and south arms of the lake. Most all of the water flows into the south arm of the lake and is of greatest concern there because, quite honestly, the ecosystem and the salt level in that section of the lake has been able to be maintained for aquatic species and birds. It's very healthy in as far as a saline lake goes. The north arm has been a containment area for excess water for a number of years, and we've now established that elevations below 4190, we should consider holding water in the south arm based on salinity and health.
Senator Todd Weiler also spoke in support of the bill.
This is probably authority we should just give to the executive branch without having to do a bill or for future consideration. I've been trying to educate myself on this. There was originally a wooden trestle line that was placed in the Great Salt Lake in 1903. This was not an ecological remedy. It was to allow the railroad to cross the lake. And then the rock-filled causeway was built in 1959 by the Southern Pacific Railroad, which is now part of Union Pacific. And the reason this is so important is because most of the rivers with freshwater, the Bear River, the Weber, and the Jordan, they all flow into the southern arm. And the northern arm is now getting sometimes 10 times more salt than what you'd find in the ocean. So I do think since the railroad made this decision for our state a long time ago, I think it's important that we take appropriate efforts for the ecological benefit of the lake, and so I'll be supporting the bill. Thank you.
Senator Weiler wants the governor to be able to raise the berm in the future without having to wait for legislation. Coming up, meet the Button King. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape, Ricky.
Maria, I'm seeing a lot of backup in Sandy, eastbound 9400 south from about 10th east over to 1300 east, and that is due to road work. Also, delays. This is southbound I-15 as you go from 53rd south to 90th south. Sweeten your fall at the Clark Historic Farm Honey Harvest Festival in Grantsville, October 10th and 11th. Honey tasting, craft vendors. Visit clarkhistoricfarm.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
When was the last time you did something for yourself? Have you been saying over and over again, tomorrow I'm going to lose weight, and just haven't been able to find the perfect weight loss program? I'd like you to at least check out Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I have lost more than 40 pounds with this great program. It took out the frustration that I had with my inability to lose weight. It uses just a special combination of foods to break down that stored fat, and it works quickly, which means that you don't get frustrated and you stick with it. Again, it's all natural, no injections or surgeries, just that simple combination of foods that burn off the stored fat. So there are no side effects. Plus, it's a lot less expensive than other programs that you might find because you don't have to buy anything with this program. There are no breakfast bars or anything like that. Plus, they've got a great app. It helps keep you accountable. It gives you a daily inspirational video, great recipes so you don't get bored with the food you eat, and you can ask questions at any time. Find out more and save $200 at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them at 801-450-1882. Just go to slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure sells. In fact, We don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it.
Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. For a lot of people, one of their least favorite things to get in the mail is the dreaded tax notice. And they'll be sent out soon in Salt Lake County, but this time around it could come with some helpful resources. Here's Salt Lake County Treasurer Sheila Srivastava.
Well, we're really excited about getting to change up the tax notice a little bit this year. We decided that it would be really incredible to use our tax notice a little bit more as a community service, because I know that a lot of times these tax notices are dreaded when they come in the mail. And so we were approached by 211, which is an incredible organization that connects our community with resources for people who are in need. And they asked if they could put in a flyer on our a flyer to go along with our tax notice. And it started to be a little bit concerned, because I was thinking, oh boy, this is a nonprofit organization, and Utah has more nonprofit organizations than I think a lot of states do. And this might start a snowball effect. But then I found out that 211 was initiated by our state legislature. And so I thought this would be a really great nod to the wonderful things that our state legislature does, and also support our community at the same time. And so all of the pieces of information that we have included have at one point or another been triggered by state legislature in Utah.
The notice will also have information that safeguards against title or deed fraud, and also clarification about unclaimed property, so you know the difference between what's real and what's a scam.
When I started in my position as treasurer, I reached out to Treasurer Marlo Oaks, State Treasurer Marlo Oaks, and I went and met with him and asked, what can I do to, help you or to partner with you? And they talked about the unclaimed property program and how there are hundreds of millions of dollars in unclaimed property that belong to the people of Utah. And a lot of times people don't take advantage or acknowledge their attempts to reach them and tell them about their money because they think it's a scam. And so we decided that we would partner together, and I would put information out on my property tax notice that helps to inform people about the fact that they could have unclaimed property and help them get access to their dollars. So we're keeping people safe. We're helping people have access to resources with the 211, helping people protect their assets, and then helping people protect their homes and their children.
The treasurer says if people find it useful, they may include more resources with next year's tax notices. In a quirky museum in South Carolina, you will find all sorts of things covered in buttons, thousands of brightly colored buttons covering even a toilet and a piano. Okay, covering all but the keys, that is. It's the passion of Dalton Stevens. Stevens started on the road to become the Button King one night in 1983 while battling insomnia. His son, J.D. Stevens, spoke with Jeffrey Collins from the Associated Press about his father's quirky passion, a passion that gave him a sense of worth during retirement.
This is Dalton Stevens Button Museum. It's been called the South Carolina Button Museum, and I guess Button Museum kind of throws a lot of people off because they're expecting to come by and see more organized buttons, displays. But this is more about folk art. You'll see all of the things that Pop did, and like the suits and the hearse, the Chevette, the caskets. He never thought a lot about buttons. That never was something that he thought a lot about, but when it started, he was consumed by it. The attention was a motivating factor for him. It changed his whole demeanor after this started. He was on top of the world again for the rest of his life, actually. I couldn't tell you how much time it took him other than the suit. That was 2 years and 10 months. To do the shirt and the pants, and then, like I said, the gluing made it quicker and easier. Jimmy Fallon now has that same show. It appeared on a lot of small stuff, magazines, and then it started getting like People magazine through there. And I'm not really sure where Johnny Carson got it from, but they were the first big TV show that called.
Are you going to try to keep this up as long as you're able and willing?
Oh yeah, I don't know if it'll go past me or not. I would hope so, but yeah, I plan on keeping it like it is.
Okay, Amanda, there were even buttons on this man's hearse and coffin. He loved buttons so much.
I have a collection of old buttons, Maria.
I have my mom's in a big jar.
Me too.
Okay, Amanda Dixon is here today for Jeff Kaplan.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda.